I just thought it's really funny because, you know, Kevin's never tried Filipino food before he met me. Yeah. And now this is a party for him, and that's like his jam.
I mean,
that's his shit.
I mean, come on.
Okay.
Right.
Like, that's it.
Like, you're coming to the promised land.
Okay.
You're here. Okay, you're not. Hi, and welcome back to Flavor Profiles, podcast conversations about the Filipino American experience through the lens of food. I'm Karina, your host. In this episode, we visit Keto Ass Bih, aka Desiree Frederickson. It's been 2 years since we bumbled with a B. She tells us what she thinks about the keto lifestyle, Filipino family time, and why collabos are in her future. Stay tuned. Flavor Profiles is coming up next. You guys, I'm sitting here with Keto Ass Bih.
Hey.
Yes, it's so good times. Let me make sure I have my notes out to know, and I'm putting us on a timer.
For sure.
Okay, so we don't go too long, even though I love it. Do you know the last time when we did our interview?
Yeah, I know for sure it was 2019.
Yes.
Yeah, because
2 years ago.
Yeah.
June. Well, it aired. We published it on June 25th, 2019. So
Wow.
over 2 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
It's kind of crazy.
2 years.
It was a good, that was a really good podcast, like, interview. Because I think I did a few after that or something.
Yes.
And I remember just thinking, like, that was a good one.
Yeah, you told me like I was your first. You had never done it, and I was like, "Don't worry, it's just going to be us talking, hanging out. You know how we do
at Nordstrom Cafe."
Yes, that's right. You remember exactly.
I do.
And I found you on the gram.
Yeah,
like I was like, it kept coming in my feed, and I was like, "Who's this bib right here?"
Okay,
I was like, it's Desiree. Okay, so if you guys want to hear the backstory of Miss Desiree, her episode was on our last season, and so you guys can find out all about her. Quick recap, you are Pinay, you're Filipina and Mexican, but your mom identifies as other stuff, but mainly Mexican.
Right.
Grew up, your mom is from East LA, your dad's from the Philippines. You grew up in like either Monterey Park or Montebello.
More like we trickled in from like San Gabriel Valley towards like more inland, but I grew up around like Pomona area, stuff like that. I spent a good amount of time there.
Yeah, so that's where you went to high school, and then now I am here with her at her lovely home that you guys all see on the gram sometimes, and we are in Fontana.
Yes.
In the Fontuckies.
Yep.
I say Fontucky lovely because I live in the San Bernardino.
We in the North.
We in the hood. San Bernardino's a hood.
We in the hood, but we in the North hood. We like in the build up.
The nicer, if you ask me about Redlands, I'm like, Redlands is good.
No, Redlands is
San
beautiful.
Bernardino can be hood. Now I don't think, like, speaking out of turn, I think people know that Purdue can be a little bit in the cut, a little bit, but that's fine. We're here, and she lives like so close to me now, so it's so great. Yeah, so we are going. So that's the recap. If you don't know about like very specific stuff about Miss Desiree and her journey, Miss Keto Ass Bih, which is her Instagram handle, you guys can re-listen to that episode because we're trying to do it actually, and then catch up with this one. So we are now in 2021. Yes. It is July. It has been 2 years since that episode aired. 2 years of a lot of stuff probably has happened in the world.
Yeah, extremely.
Yeah. And then also maybe for your social media presence. Now, I don't know. So the catch up is, so when I met you and we interviewed, and we saw each other a little bit after that for a few things, but you were not even a year into your Instagram journey.
Right.
I'm saying journey and I'm being an asshole about it, but it's like, journey into your
yeah.
process, your thing. Okay.
Yes.
So it was like barely a year into that keto Instagram along with your keto journey. Mm-hmm. And then you told me like it got a little bit more popular because of your transformation videos along with filiketofriday.
Right.
Right. Which today is Friday. What?
I know, girl.
Okay.
I got some stuff for you in the fridge. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. So when I met you, your Instagram, now I don't remember, I didn't clock what it was at, but right now your Instagram's like over 100 1,000 people follow you, or bots, or whatever.
It's definitely not bots.
It's not bots. I feel like it's people, of course.
I got people sending me messages. Definitely not bots.
So it has grown. Because I think at the beginning when we talked, I don't even know how much. I know it was you were definitely past a couple.
I think it was
like in the
past
10,000.
20K.
Yeah.
I think it was at 20K because I remember I had done a Sans Rival cake for 20K. I did like a whole thing for it. So I know for sure it was past 20K, but not by much.
Okay.
So it was growing steadily for these things, but I think people were starting to get to know me more. And as obviously a year and a half, 2 years passed, like it's definitely changed.
Yes.
I mean, there's still keto stuff on there, but everything's shifted because that's part of social media. That's part of people. They shift, they change. So you have to kind of go with it.
Right. So when I met you, you had mentioned that you started to track this journey of being in a keto space, keto community, right? So it was like, and then I got you because to me, you were in the Filipino community.
Right.
So it was like both things coming together. Mm-hmm. And so now 2 years later, keto is like a humongous thing.
Yes.
Okay. So keto has become even more popular within the 2 years we haven't interviewed. Mm-hmm. And then also Filipino food has been on its come ups, right? It was already, and of course, OG over here, I know what's up, but like going forward now, it's like definitely a lot more in especially food media.
Yes.
And some people have closed down their restaurants, and some people have gotten more. It is what it is. And the pandemic didn't help a lot of food situations.
Right.
But so now we're here 2 years out. So this is what I wanted to ask you while we drink our Diet Cokes. And by the way, if I burp or Desiree burps, that's because we're drinking Diet Cokes.
We're trying hard not to.
If it happens, it happens. Okay, so Filiketo Friday. So explain to people what Filiketo, the hashtag, or what it is, and why you didn't. What's the big deal?
So originally, when I started doing the Filiketo Fridays and Filiketo stuff in general, it was more to bring more awareness to Filipino food being keto, obviously. So we started it as like every Friday, me and a handful of people would go ahead and just post some sort of Filipino dish that was made into no sugar, low carb, keto versions.
Yes.
And it became really popular because a lot of people started getting really into it and really being creative with it. And I think that was the main structure of how Filiketo started for me, was that it wasn't just like, oh, here's a dish that's Filipino. It's like people were really trying to be creative and do things that did not seem possible with Filipino food.
True.
That was kind of how it started. Now, granted, it's still around. People still do Filipino food, Filiketo Friday. It's not as prevalent as it was because now Filipino food is so popular that everyone's just doing it whenever. Yeah. You've got companies that are coming in and specializing in ube extracts. You've got companies that are not involved like in the Filipino community. They're like, wow, ube is really popular, let's do that.
Right.
Then you've got other companies
that
trendy. You've got other companies that are like actually creating like ube.
Desiree be blowing up while we're in the interview.
I know.
Well, what can I do? She's an influencer.
I turned it off. So I've seen ube like mixes, like people doing stuff, which is crazy to me. Yeah. Because one, it's featuring something so like dear to us, but it's in a form that can be enjoyed in a low carb community. Yeah. And that's wild. So people are making Filipino food on the regular without it being like, here's a specific day
amazing, weird, which that was the description before. Now it's I don't like saying mainstream, but it's like, it's not as novel. You're not like, oh my God, what? Like now you're like, oh yeah. I mean, that's pretty normal now.
Filipino food is becoming more accepted, I guess you can say. Yeah. And I don't want to say that word, but I mean, people are discovering how delicious and flavorful our food is.
100%.
Okay. I mean, I've been, I don't know if you go on TikTok as much as I do.
I do not, because I am old.
Okay, but
and also because I cannot manage another fucking platform. No. Like I will lose my mind. So I like when the TikTok comes into Instagram, because I'm like, thank you kids for bringing it to me, because I'm not gonna do that shit. Okay, I'm not gonna do a dance. I'll do a dance for whatever.
I definitely won't do that shit.
Okay, but yes, on TikTok, I feel like that generation just generationally, like the kids are like, no, this is what we're doing now. We ain't trying to look at your, like we own it. This is what we want to eat. This is what we want to cook. This is the way we like it. And we're just going to do it. Yeah. Yeah. And they don't have as many gatekeepers as in my generation, especially as my mom's or like your parents, where like you had to go through all these people to be like, is it okay? Do I get your approval? Can we do this? Right. Now they're like, no, we make our own stuff. Like, we don't need you to tell us what to do and what to post or like how to market, advertise, or like anything. Yeah. We know what we want to do. Right. Yes. So let's take it back as in, okay, so at the time the pandemic didn't start yet. It was about to. Yes. And so I guess in a way, social media was a better job or like a thing because like it didn't require you going anywhere, going into an office so when that happened, and people were really turning to social media so much, right? For the year and something we've been in this. Yeah. Did you notice it grow, your social media, or did you feed it, or like what was going on for you?
So right before the pandemic started, we actually, remember I was talking about having a booty ball. Yeah. So we had the booty, we actually planned, I think after you and I had our interview, we started the planning process of having our own like prom. Yes. And it was successful. We had it. It was crazy because it literally landed on the day before everybody went on lockdown. Yes. So like we were freaking out because we didn't know if we can have it. Yeah. But that was all featured through social media. Everybody was really excited. You had people coming in and
it was successful.
It was very successful. Yes. Even though we were like literally right about to start
anxious
lockdown.
But successful.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and then once the pandemic started, I felt like honestly, social media was a very traumatic place at the time. Okay. Because you had people that were dealing with, first of all, they were dealing with fear of the pandemic. Yes. They were on lockdown. Everybody was home. And then you had, so every news channel you were looking at on your social media, on whether it be Twitter or whatever, like it were talking about this thing. Yes. So I felt like in the beginning it was.
The moo-moo, like the boogeyman, the monster. Yeah.
It was really difficult to be on platform, you know? And also too, it's kind of like, it was harder to vocalize things on the platform because people always had an opinion about something. And then right after that started, that's when all that stuff happened with going into George Floyd and Black Lives Matter. Right. And then it got even crazier. Yes. So social media, after when pandemic started, it went through the craziest fucking weirdest shit ever because instead of it being about just like having fun, having whatever, sharing recipes, now we were dealing with actual issues that people are not comfortable talking about on a social platform.
Correct. I think social media was very interesting during that time also because specifically if you're you can tell me if you to me, you're a social media personality. Yes. Right? I don't want to say influencer because I know you don't like that term. Yeah. And I think it's like this taboo-y term now, like I'm influencing, right? So it's like you're a personality. And I think, like you said, your stuff was very positive, journey, transformation, uplifting majority of the time. Mm-hmm. And then you get on we're in this very specific time period of it's not that uplifting. We're all like scared as fuck. Everybody's trying to figure out what the hell to do. So it would have seemed sort of incongruent to post up like these like happy, fluffy, stories about whatever. And people needed to like kind of settle. Yeah. It needed to settle down a little bit and everybody sort of think about how we're going to go forward because it's very serious subject matter for everybody. Mm-hmm. And then, we go into a cultural moment, right? And for me, like I deal with cultural stuff all the time. Mm-hmm. So it was like, I think people were like, wow, how curated is social media going to be? Mm-hmm. Right? Because it is curated. We're all posting up like our highlight reel. So then it was like, well, nobody wants to see your motherfucking highlight reel right now.
You're doing what? Doing nothing? Being home?
Right. So I was like, then what am I going to post? And people couldn't feed it. Right. Yeah. So you're like, now you have to get sort of either just lay off your audience or like get honest with people, like get silly again and lighter and stuff. It brings a lot of relief.
Yes. That was the one thing that I started to realize, especially after even being on my stories or whatever. I had a lot of people say that I was just really funny to watch, and it became more of like that's a good distraction instead of you know, like look, I'm not a fake positive person. If I'm in the middle of something, I'm not gonna just get online and be like I'm in the middle of something, and I'm also not gonna pretend to be positive. I'm just gonna wait it out and then wait till like I calm down and then just crack a joke or something. Yeah. And then that is how I normally am. Like my brother is really funny, and like that's how we are. Like my family, my dad's really funny. So naturally going to humor in a time of like traumatic stuff happening is a very simple way for me to deal with stuff.
Yeah. Like lighten the room. Yeah. You know, give a good laugh is always good for everybody.
Yeah. And then also too, I started to realize like, everybody was home for a whole ass year. So everybody and their mama was cooking hella shit. Yeah. You know, like it wasn't like I could be over the top like I used to because everybody was doing over the top shit. I would go on my phone. I'm like, damn, like
bread. Everybody's like, baking bread.
Everybody's like
Dalgona coffee.
Oh, hell. You know what? I tried that coffee once and that shit was crack. And I said, absolutely never again. I don't know what everybody is tripping over this shit.
So, okay, so yes, when we talked in our last interview, I remember asking you about like your family life and stuff. Yeah. And you would say, oh, every Friday I get together with like my family, right? So I feel like in the last 2 years, as stories got more, I think people understood how to work Instagram a little bit more, even though you mofo was always like, change it up on us. And we're like, now I got to learn something else. No, and then TikTok got thrown in there. Mm-hmm. So what I saw was more like your family started, the characters of your life started coming more into Instagram. So now we know what your parents look like. You know, Tito Bih, all up in the gram, singing his heart out.
Well, I mean, as he should, because he's got a voice. No,
and your kids are on there every blue moon, and your husband. So we started to see it's like more like your life like a well-rounded picture, not just you as keto, but like all the things of like daily life and what you actually do. Yeah. So I say that to say, do you think that's why people gravitate even your shit still is growing? Yeah. Do you think that's why people like you?
Yes. Or
don't, or just stalk you.
They just want to watch me. Yeah. No, you know what it is that I realized at the end of the day, and this is what my husband says, and I've had people tell me, they say, because I've been on social media literally since I've been 17 years old. But I've done tons of different like platforms like MySpace, Blogger, all this shit, like all over. And I was always showcasing like my personality, not necessarily like one like part of it. And people always were just interested in that. Like, and my brother has always been a personality. My dad has been. So being able to incorporate them more and people responding so well just shows me that like it's not the keto part of me that people are watching. It's literally me and my family and how we are.
Yeah, I think you're very multi-dimensional and you have a lot of layers to you, just like most people have layers, and not just one thing. Right. So, and social media tends to be so curated and people see like one thing, maybe a little piece of whatever, but it's always like edited. Yes. Right. So even though yours is also edited, I also feel like the characters and stuff like you introduce, they say characters like they're your family. Yeah. But we as somebody who doesn't know you personally, right? Like I know you personally, but other people watching you, it's like, oh, shit, it's Friday. We're going to see Tito Bih sing, okay. You know? And then like your uncle is in there, your brother is in there, and like we know what you. So it's like it is almost like a little bit of a series we're watching.
That's exactly what people say. It's like a kind of like a TV show. Like they know what to look forward to. And whenever I go to my parents' house on Fridays, they're like, oh shit, it's Friday. Yeah. They're like, you're gonna go over there.
It's gonna be out. Somebody brought food. Yep. Just letting you know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, and I'm like, does it look like it is? It does. Well, because I'm not like when I used to do it, it's like okay. I'm just trying not to change up the process too much because I'm like, if it ain't broke, do not fix it. But like sometimes I'm like, All right, so that was a little break. So we were talking about the series of Miss Desiree's life, which is Keto Ass Bih, which could be its own show. And because you're multidimensional to me, like, right, like you said, there's like this food aspect, cultural aspect, and there's just like your hair, your makeup, your lashes, your nails.
Also,
your kids.
I think the one thing that people also really like to see is the dynamic between me and my husband.
Yeah.
Because it's there's not a lot of fluff to our relationship, like kind of like the banter you see between us. That's what you're gonna get in real life, without the phone being near. It's like that's just us, and so a lot of people.
It helps that y'all are good looking.
No, well, I mean, no, it's
y'all are cute and young.
It's the way it's the way we talk. It's the way we talk.
No, it's all of it. It is, but it is nice. Like, you know, I mean, complimentary is like both of you guys are like attractive young family.
Yes,
right, and people want to see like how does that work these days. And you have 2 kids, so that's another level of momdom. People follow the mom stuff. You know, mom stuff is very popular, and luckily you are very, like I said, you're well rounded. So like you're kind of like your life will touch a lot of things, and that people can connect to and identify with. So it's a good thing because you actually are not pigeonholed into one thing, which is what started as, at least for me to find you, is Filipino community and keto community. Yes. So let's go back to the keto thing. So how is that going? And what do you think about it now, 2 years out the game?
I think it's good. Definitely last year was a little bit hard for people doing keto because we're home. We're stuck at home. Okay. You know, it's like can't really go out. So some people obviously had some like pandemic weight. I know I caught mine at the very end, but I think for the most part, that's how I eat. Like I eat
explain to some people what your definition of keto is.
So keto is like, it's basically what you're doing is you're removing sugars. So you can have like natural sugars like stevia and all that stuff.
We're drinking Diet Cokes, just so you know. See how we keep it.
So keto? it's dirty. That's a dirty keto. And then also you remove like carbohydrates. You lower them a lot, and just replace it more with like vegetables and like proteins and fats. So the whole thing about being keto is that it's not. It's basically a keto is a short term for ketosis. So your body needs to be in a state of ketosis. So your blood sugar levels need to be at a certain level, and then that's how you know. And you're at a ketone level, ketogenic burning level, then that's considered keto. Now, most of the time, mine's kind of right there, maybe almost getting into it, but because I've been, doing it since 2018, so it's like sometimes you're not as strict about doing it. You kind of, because at the end of the day, it's a lifestyle. You're not expected to always be in strict ketosis for 5 years.
Right. So keto is not a diet. No. It's supposed to be a lifestyle.
Yes.
A change.
Yeah.
I think it works well for at least Filipino community, or the stereotypical, what people assume Filipino food is, which is very meat heavy. Yeah. So protein heavy. But I mean, that doesn't mean you're always eating pork and beef. You can eat fish. You know.
There's lots of stuff that can be turned into that. And it's literally, it's so funny because Filipino food, like, you really only have to kind of remove like one ingredient, and it's very minute sometimes. Yeah. And it's still pretty good, pretty clean. The only thing that'd be tricky is like the sweets,
Yeah, but that's sweets in anybody's food, right? Anybody's culture, that's straight up carbohydrates. Right. So yeah, and I think it's also information, education about it. Yeah. I think rice is like one of the main jams that like get people into trouble, as in health wise. Like Filipino community has a high rate of diabetes, pre-diabetic as well. And I think a lot of people they've tried to figure out like, oh, it's because of no, it's not actually Filipino food. It's actually rice. And rice is...
Because that's all you're eating. You're eating rice with everything.
Yeah, because you're cutting... The rice cuts like a lot of like this very dense flavor sometimes, and you need it. But it is the thing that will spike that sugar fast, right? And rice isn't everybody... There's a lot of communities with rice. It's not just Filipino. So again, I think it's 2 years now that I've heard about keto or low carbohydrate. It's interesting to hear people be more informed, like they understand it more. And then there's some people that are donkeys, and you're like... You can't,
It's just, and here's the thing: if somebody decides that they want to do that, like this is the one thing that they always say, well, you can't do it for a long term, and it's like,
Why? Who said so?
You can do it, but you have to remember is that you're not going to be in a state of ketosis for 5 years straight. Your body is going to fluctuate a lot of times, especially when you've already like lost the weight and now you're just in maintenance mode.
Or how about especially when you're a woman?
Yeah.
We have like things called hormones. Yeah. I mean, men do too, but like
that kicks you out.
Yeah, insulin and hormones are connected, right? Mm-hmm. So like, and the ketosis thing is part of that. You're lowering your carbohydrates so that your insulin's not high. They're all connected. So I think for women, it's not an excuse. It's just also y'all don't have babies. You don't have your period. Mm-hmm. You don't have what's the other one? Period, babies, menopause.
As I get more
you don't
questions,
feel like you're a keto expert.
No, because I don't really get questions about keto stuff anymore. It's more like, where did you get this? Or, hey, blah, blah, blah. Your son is this age. Like, they ask me questions about my life. Yeah. And I don't have a problem answering it, but I don't really get a lot of keto questions. And I think that's because over the course of the last 2 years, like you said, it's shifted. Whereas like I have a good amount of friends that literally will answer questions about keto all day. And I'm like, girl, that's exhausting. Yeah. Like if people
that's their account though.
That's
right?
their account.
That's what their focus.
And I'm just like,
your focus seems to be just like life, like living life, right? But I will say that I have seen you. So when I interviewed you before, first interview, everybody go back and listen to that. Just as a reminder, we talked about monetizing this Instagram, and we talked about like, do you consider it a job, or do you consider like what's it? And I will see you now sometimes like a haul, like you'll have like products or people send you things or you ask for, I don't know how that works for you in your world, but you will give an honest opinion a majority of the time. I have seen you legitimately try things. You're like, that is booty. You're like, this is really bad. And I don't think you mean to be that mean sometimes. Like, I think you're like me. Like if I go to a restaurant and I don't like it, I just won't say anything about it. But if I love the restaurant, I'll big up you all the day. I'll be like, y'all need to go to da-da-da. But if I went and it's not like what I really like, I'm just not saying too much because one, I'm not trying to be cruel to anybody. That is their life work. That is what they're doing. And, no shade. Like you get, I just won't go to your shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing with as in the last several years. So like when you and I had that interview, like obviously the keto community and there's been like companies just blowing up. Like, I mean, think about it. Like you go to grocery stores, there's keto products everywhere. Whereas like 2 years ago, we barely had a snippet of that and people were just starting to get into products. So, I mean, as the account has shifted or how it's grown over the years, I mean, I do have companies that will send me stuff and I'll try it. But if I don't like something now, I more or less just be like, it's okay. Because here's the thing is that like, I might not like something, but somebody else might like it. And I don't want to sway somebody, but people can kind of tell when I'm not a fan of it. They could just tell, they could see it in my face.
Yes. We could tell when you are a fan.
Yeah.
Big up to Chalk Zero.
Okay. That's my shit.
Yeah. Chalk Zero is good.
It is good.
Right. So I feel like people trust you.
Yes.
Because you really eat the food.
Yeah.
You really try the product and you will be majority of time probably honest about like whether, or we just won't see it on your feed anymore. Yeah. You're like, that was good. And then that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
We know what the repetitive ones are.
But you know exactly what I'm eating. Right, you know what I'd be liking. Right.
Yeah. Do you consider is this like a profession, a career, a job for you now?
It's
the Instagram account is just
so it's weird because last year during the pandemic, so my husband, he did lose his job right in the very beginning. So he was out of work for up until this year. Okay. So we were fortunate enough to be able to get some things going. We got some stuff like going on with the house. So we were fine with that. Like we weren't worried about any of that stuff. We had our bills still taken care of. We weren't worried, but I, at the time, was just like, okay, I need to start thinking about really fully monetizing this account because I'm doing work. I might as well just share, hey, like, look, this is something. It's kind of like, that's kind of like the next step sometimes for people that start growing their account. It's like you work with brands. And the thing is that brands now are really working with more, social media influencers or people, because that is where sometimes they get a good amount of sales, is word of mouth. And if they're not, especially if they're not in stores, you need people that are going to be talking about your product or something like that.
Yeah. Well, would you say that you are a brand? I asked you that 2 years ago.
And I didn't think I was.
Yeah.
Because I was like, no, I'm just this. But in the last 2 years, especially like with seeing stuff, I definitely do feel like there's something there. Because I feel like people signify me as Keto Ass Bih, but also just Bih in general. And then they call my dad Tito Bih, like Kevin Bih. Like, that's where I'm just like, all of these things are just like, okay, so this is what's getting signified with us. So just run with it.
Yes, I mean, brand is such a very touchy, huge word.
Yes.
But I do think, because before I think you're just like, you could just be a singular character, that's it. But we're encompassing like your life.
Yeah.
So it's also a lifestyle brand.
Yes.
Right? Because now you're not just keto. Like you literally tell people like, here are my gas station sunglasses.
Oh my God. Those are the best sunglasses. They're all $10.
Right. But see, that's a life thing, because the Instagram sometimes so curated that people don't see like there's another thing, or somebody's like so thinking about it. And I understand that they're protecting their brand. It doesn't seem like you do that. Not protecting it, but it just seems like you're like, this is what it is.
Yep.
I'm not going to lie to you and said I went to wherever to get these glasses. Bitch, just I went and I bought something. I got gas.
Okay.
And these are cute. What do you see going forward? Like for you, do you have a plan?
Yeah. So in the last, I've been talking with a girlfriend of mine about, possibly doing like clothing again. And
you did say you like collaborations.
Yes.
I will say that in our last interview, you're like, I don't want to do something on my own, like coaching and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. And you're like, I like a good collabo.
Yeah. I'm really good. I enjoy collaborations, and also too, just working with different avenues, not just one avenue. So like, I think the thing that I've realized is that I don't like to be just pigeonholed into one specific thing. Yeah. So like, if
you're
I could
like
just
a entrepreneur.
Yeah. I just want to like, I just want to like grow and like give as I grow, I mean, so right now, like I said, the way that I notice that I'm growing is obviously in like my humor and like reels or whatever, or it's something like that. And it's so if somebody sees that and they're just like, hey, like, can you do something with that? Right. And then I work with them. So there's a lot of things. Oh, and also too, like, like I said, collaborating with brands, collaborating with other people. I mean, I would love to collaborate people, like even in the Filipino community.
I feel like so we talked about your brand and all these big words, again, the characters of your life, your family and stuff. But for me, at the end of the day, I think you connect with people also because you share.
Yes.
Like you're a sharing person. I think also being Filipino, that is sort of not every Filipino shares. Okay, there's some stingy mofos out there. But a majority of the time, it is sort of ingrained in you to share, especially food, your life. Some things are private, of course, but I feel like that's why people like you, because you share information, you share your life. Yeah. So people connect. The collaborations, the sharing of the life, moving forward, 2021, 2022. Obviously you still run a family. Yes. You still have a family to deal with. So I don't want to say it's like you're a micro influencer to me, if we're going to really drill down into like the terminology, personality wise, social media personality, but the personality is micro influencing people, right? So if we go to like end of 2021, 2022, like are there plans you can share?
I mean, I don't have any specific plan. Like I said, I have
what you want to do.
I don't have any specific plans. I do think though, like if I start working with more brands, like, cause like right now I am working with brands, but I just feel like some brands are starting to see on how I like utilize media, social media. And because they see numbers behind it, they're like, oh, let's try to do some more like that. So I have multiple brands wanting to do specific things with me instead of it just being like, hey, because they know like how it runs. But I think for me, I would just love to just be open. I mean, I've had some people say like, oh, you know, like your whole family should be a TV show. Like, and I'm just like, I'm like, could you imagine?
The Kardashians all up in
this? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not trying to see me on a TV show.
The beast.
You know, anyway, I feel like once people like kind of find me, they find something that they relate to, like the most. Whether it's this one or that one or all of them together or this or you know, my relationship with my dad or something like that. They find something, they relate to it, and they latch onto it. And I don't think the numbers necessarily be like, oh, that person's only got this much, because I feel like there are really good accounts that are that interactive just as well, and they grow. But I feel like because of the algorithm, the way Instagram works, they only push certain things. So I tell people too, going back to the other thing, I'm like, if you want to grow your account, if you're just worried about your number growing. I want to know
what you did. Tell me.
Yeah. Well, if you just want to worry about your numbers growing, then you need to find what Instagram is pushing.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go, kids. Now you heard from one of the social media experts. Okay.
It's just something that I seen.
Well, this is the thing. 2 years from the time I spoke to you to now, 2 years is not a little amount of time. So you literally have grown a lot, but it wasn't like it grew overnight. Right. It is, as people say, organic, and it's slow and low, but it like on simmer, but it always was going up. Yeah. It wasn't like just stopped. Like you did things to feed it and nurture it like a plant.
Yes.
And it grew. So, you know, kids, because I think people think like, oh, I'm just going to da-da-da-da. And it's like in like 2 or 3 months, I'm going to get this. And it's like, no, it's actually really hard to do.
It actually takes work. It does. And it's so silly.
There's my there's your
timer.
The timer. Because we talk a lot. So that, and it does take effort.
Yes. That's the one thing that it also is like, you really like, unless like you are, I don't know. I mean,
you're a celebrity.
You're celebrity or something. Yeah. Then it grows. But like, generally, like if you're trying to grow from like the ground up, like it does take work. Like you do have to put a bit of effort into something.
Like you put a lot into it. So you're getting a lot back now, and I hope it's reaping the rewards of all of your time put towards Instagram, which Instagram makes money off of everybody, you know? And I think a lot of people don't understand that. They make money off of us being on this phone, even though you don't get how they're doing it. They do.
Yeah, they do.
So it's like, get it back. You know, for me as an promoter of Filipinos having wealth and learning how to fucking get their finances right. Not that I always do, but like, know what you're getting into. Don't do shit for free all the time.
Right.
Although she was nice enough to do this podcast right now for free. But we are friends.
I love you. Okay.
But we are friends. So, yes, okay. So going forward and wrapping this up, how do people get in touch with you if they do want to collaborate with you? Like, what's the best way?
Just, you know, either on my Instagram or via email. I have a TikTok, but I don't really do it for that. That's literally just for me to zone out and watch people be idiots on that.
Yeah, you're like a voyeur.
Yes, that's pretty much. I'll do one here and there, but that for the most part, that's what I do there.
Yeah, you're watching.
Yeah,
okay. So people can hit you up on the DMs.
On the DMs, on my Gmail, on the Keto Ass Bih.
Oh, okay.
So that is usually that's how I usually like to work with brands. It's like if they send me something, I'm like, just send me an email.
So you check your Gmail. You check emails.
Yeah. I check that every day.
So she checks emails, you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, when she said Gmail, I was like, wow, I have a Gmail. I almost feel like we're going back to AOL. This is like AOL. If you were not a social media personality, influencer, what would you be doing?
Oh.
What do you think?
I honestly think that I would be working in a kitchen again.
Okay.
Because I did that for so long. I mean, that was what I did in general. Like I was always in the kitchen, or I was always in restaurants since I was 17, 18 years old. And before, when I did take a break in between platforms for years. And during that time frame, I was working in kitchens. Yeah. So if I wasn't doing this, or if for some reason I was like, I'm going to go back to work and take a break from that, I'd probably go back into a kitchen. And it would suck. To cook. Okay. Yeah. Cook or work with restaurants or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I always found it like a home for me in the kitchen.
That's your like comfort zone.
Yeah.
You passionate about it.
Yeah.
Okay. what Filipino, I'm just going to throw that out there. What Filipino food would you be cooking?
Oh
I'm not going to ask you about no other food, man. This is flavor profiles, man.
Oh my gosh.
What Filipino food is your jam now in 2021?
Still Caldereta, man. I can't help that shit. That shit is timeless.
Yes.
And then it's funny, I recently started eating Bicol Express more often.
Explain for the peoples what the Bicol Express is.
Well, I know the one that my uncle makes is pork. And it's like coconut milk marinade, but
so good.
it's so spicy and delicious. And the only thing is,
even though my white side would be offended by the spice,
I know. Kevin won't touch it.
Yeah, I love when you make fun of Kevin. He
won't.
Very puti.
Yeah,
very
he
white,
doesn't.
Yeah.
He tries his hardest. Trust me, he does. But
so Bicol Express is a more spicier dish of a Filipino, because people don't associate Filipino food with spice too much.
No, and that's funny. But you know what's really funny is that my dad likes to put a lot of spicy stuff in a lot of his dishes.
I mean, he is married to a Mexican lady.
He's always putting like jalapenos and stuff, and so my husband actually has to be like, Dad, can you not
lay off on the spice?
So my dad would be like, oh, this one's for Kevin. It's not spicy, okay? It's not spicy. I'm like, damn it.
It's like set aside a dish. Oh, Kevin, this is for you.
Yep,
okay.
that's exactly it.
Might as well be like a fucking turkey sandwich.
I
here
know,
you go.
right?
And now the rest of us are over here like.
So, but yeah,
so that's your jam in the kitchen these days.
Yeah, okay. Like that. I mean, adobo is easy.
Oh, you were telling people are like adobo ain't easy. I make it like my grandma.
Well, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But the way my dad makes it, that's like way, and that's the easiest way for me.
When you guys throw down on a Friday night, I'm telling you, this is why I watch you guys too, because I feel like I would be there.
Oh yeah,
I would be hanging out, not all the time, because my uncles were nuts too, and they were like gun shooting nuts. Like they would shoot the guns, and be like drunk as Budweiser, and shoot the gun. Ask your dad. Your dad knows. And but I love y'all play darts. You guys are singing. It is like a good family time. And I think that is also the reason why people. It's like, and it's not a faux version of a Filipino family.
No, that's what you get.
It's like people are smoking, drinking, hanging out. Sometimes y'all cuss, sometimes you don't. Sometimes the kids are in the picture, sometimes they're not. Damn, a lot of food for sure. It's like, can I get some lumpia? Thank you very much. Girl. And I think that's it. So I'm excited to see where you go in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be dope. I think Filipino food is like just the shiz, and we know it,
We like that.
I mean, hello, we knew.
Girl, there was hella Filipino food for Kevin's birthday. And it was I think it was so funny because this party was for my husband.
Yes.
My white Mexican husband.
Yes.
And my dad, I got it. I had my uncle cater it because I was like, I'll be,
nice. Yeah.
So, and they were like, what kind of food? And I was just
your uncle threw a
Romy, he catered, girl. Girl, he made 5 pounds of lumpia.
Did you tag him? And if you ever saw those posts, maybe her uncle's tagged in there.
I'll tell him, yeah.
But where's he out of? Over here?
Yeah, they live in Chino, but they do hella shit. I have a flan for you in the fridge.
No, what? Giving me sugary things, but I will eat it.
A plan. It's a plan.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, they did everything. But I just thought it's really funny because Kevin's never tried Filipino food before he met me, and now this is a party for him, and that's like his jam.
I mean,
that's his shit.
I mean, come on.
Okay,
right?
Like that's it.
Like you've reached. You're coming to the promised land.
Okay.
You're here. Okay, you're not. I mean, I don't need to go over there. You need to come this way because this is where it's at.
Oh, and it's so funny because I always tell my friends, I had a few friends that came over and they've never had Filipino food. And I was like, girl, I'm going to tell you right now, this is some bomb ass fucking Filipino food,
Hashtag
and so
addiction.
Okay. And so I had everything out and I had to-go platters right next to it.
Baon to
You
go.
just gotta, because you never
You're
know.
going to take some home.
You have to.
who are you if you don't? Don't come over here thinking you're not going to take
Okay, I'm like, get an extra plate. Eat, if you're not taking some of them, eat 3 plates at least.
Right. Again, so see the sharing, literally sharing, the generosity, making everybody feel at home on your Instagram. Exactly. I think that really is it. So we'll end there. Everybody, you know what to do. Follow her, follow us. I don't know what's going on with my Instagram, but it doesn't matter. You can follow hers. Y'all be listening to the podcast anyways. That's where we're at. We don't always need all the Instagram because we do the podcast. Hi. So I will thank you so much for letting me come to the house. I feel like really privileged to be in the Keto Ass Bih's house. This is what, like, I feel like I'm on the stage for like a television show. Hi guys, this is where I'll go.
There's a camera behind you.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone catch her, you know, doing her thing. Follow her new projects or collaborations or whatever she's doing in the future. I'm sure they're or products. You know, she loves to give us the tea.
I might have something in the fall.
Oh,
just keep an eye out.
Yeah, because you guys, October is Filipino American History Month. Hello.
Okay, I might have some.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, all the things, and peace and adobo greens. This episode is brought to you by the team at Flavor Profiles. Follow us on Instagram and be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever you listen to music, audiobooks, and other podcasts. Make sure to write a review and tell your friends and family. Thanks for listening to this episode of Flavor Profiles. Peace and adobo grease.